Hello friends. So today I will start a new chapter called Psychoanalysis. So the term psychoanalysis denotes a psychological theory of mind and personality development based primarily on the concept of intra-cyclic conflict. Number 2, it is a procedure for the investigation of unconscious psychical process, otherwise inaccessible. And number 3, a therapeutic technique of treating psychiatric disorder by psychological means. Next, coming to the basic concept of psychoanalysis. First one is the topographic theory of mind. The topographic theory of mind was advanced by Freud in the year 1900 in the book called The Interpretation of Dreams. Although it was later almost replaced by the structural theory, it is still useful in understanding the mental mechanisms. According to Freud, the mind has three divisions: the unconscious, the preconscious, and the conscious mind. So first one, coming to the unconscious mind. Much of the mental activity lies outside the sphere of consciousness. However, this unconscious mental activity influences the conscious thought and behavior even if it is not available to voluntary recall. The unconscious contains those ideas and effects which have been repressed. This repressed material can only reach the consciousness through pre-conscious when the sensor is relaxed. The unconscious mental activity is characterized by primary process thinking, which is typically found in young children, severe psychosis, mental retardation, and dreams. It is different from normal thinking in that it strived for immediate discharge of drive energy, lacks contact with reality, is fully of contradictions, lacks organization and logical connection, and is based on the pleasure principle. Next, coming to the second part of mind, that is the preconscious. This region of mind lies between the unconscious and the conscious, with access to both. The unconscious mental contents can reach the conscious only through the preconscious. It is not present at birth but develops in childhood, paralleling the ego development. The sensor lies here, maintaining the repressive barrier. The preconscious mental contents can easily become conscious with the focusing of attention. Next, coming to the third part of mind, that is the conscious mind. If the mind can be divided in portion, the conscious constitute a tiny part of it. Freud conceptualized it as a type of special sense organ of attention concerned with registration of stimuli from both within and without. The conscious mental contents are characterized by secondary process thinking based on the reality principle. In addition to the topographic model of mind, Freud also theorized the concept of psychic determination, which means that all mental activity is meaningful and purposeful, though unconscious, and is linked with the previous life experiences. Hence, according to this principle, no mental activity can be accidental or purposeless. So next, coming to the structural theory of mind. In the year 1923, in The Ego and the Id, Freud divided the mental apparatus into three dynamic structures. Number one, the id. The id is the original state of human mental apparatus with which a newborn baby is born. It is totally unconscious, containing the basic drive and instinct concerned with the survival. It is characterized by primary process thinking and is based on pleasure principle, lacking any direct link with reality. The only urge of these drives is immediate gratification. Next, coming to the second structural theory of mind is the ego. The ego is primarily determined by the experience of reality and is therefore guided by the reality principle. It is predominantly conscious, though some parts like ego defense mechanism are unconscious. Ego maintains a balance between the id and the superego on one hand and the reality on the other. For example, the individual observes a pleasurable object surrounded by a barrier. The id wants immediate gratification by obtaining the object without seeing the reality of a barrier around it. The superego, on the other hand, proclaims that it is sinful to derive pleasure from an object surrounded by barrier. The ego strikes a balance between the two, as well as the real world, and decide to wait and find a way to climb the barrier and derive pleasure. Although simplistic, the example illustrates the ego's function of delaying gratification in view of the reality. The ego is the seat of conscious, intellectual, self-preservative and defensive function of mental apparatus. So these are the two structural theory of mind. Next, coming to the third structural theory, that is the superego. So the superego is predominantly unconscious subdivision of mental apparatus that develops from the ego. It is specially concerned with moral standard and has two parts, a punitive conscience and a non-punitive ego ideal. Both derive from the effect of parental influence on the ego. This parental influence not only includes the effect of actual parents but also of the important family members, religion, and important people in the surrounding environment. The criticism, prohibition, guilt-arousing statement and punishment are introjected as coincidence. On the other hand, the approvals and reward become introjected as the ego ideal. The ego ideal is later involved in the setting of personal goal and aspirations. Next, coming to the ego defense mechanism. So ego defense mechanism I will discuss in my later class. So please follow my next class. Thank you.